Hey Cancer, I'm Eleanor and welcome to Peaches by Starlight Tarot. This is your weekly pick a card reading and we are talking about your monthly energy, which is the Page of Swords, and your weekly energy of Oriole. A new creative venture is on the horizon. See it as a positive change. So you're entering territory that's unfamiliar and unknown and having to face challenges and expand your knowledge base in ways that are not in your wheelhouse. So this is going to be unfamiliar and it's going to be a learning experience for sure. I'm using the Rebel deck and the Bosch Tarot. I have stack 1, 2, and 3. They're timestamped below so you can skip right ahead. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff that takes me too long to gear up, and let's just get to the good stuff. All right, stack 1. You have the Hierophant, 6 of Wands, and it says, take a fucking trip. Go see some shit, do some new things, talk to people cooler than you. So now where it says go on a fucking trip, I feel like the need to keep my readings responsible at this time and be mindful about what's going out there in the world right now, that this is going to have to be wisely done on the internet probably, or in books, or in your imagination, or somehow that doesn't involve you going into public spaces, which are mostly not, that are off limits right now. But this is going to be about learning from others. The Hierophant is going to be a system of learning, and with the 6 of Wands, it feels a little bit like learning from someone who is at the top of their game, learning at someone who is a master and who has been successful. Like taking those master classes that they offer online. I've seen the commercial on TV for the master class, and they show people like Scorsese and, you know, top actors who are the best at their craft teaching what they know. And so it's not going to be your local acting coach, it's going to be learning from the best of the best in these master classes. So finding an expert teacher to learn from, like it says, people that are cooler than you, right? So, but you see how this reminds me a lot of the Page of Swords, actually, because of the way there's a lot of passion and there's a lot of fire and a lot of will and curiosity in this card, and yet not a head. So it is definitely something that it's going to be something that you don't know anything about, totally unfamiliar and totally new, but something that you're spiritually aligned to, and something that's going to move you closer to your soul purpose in some way. Stack 2, you have the 10 of Swords, 2 of Wands. It says you are being shady. Watch out, shit could get ugly. Ouch. Okay. I think in this deck, this 2 of Wands is described as a mischievous person. And so you may be being perceived that way. It doesn't say that you are being that way, but there is a potential here that your actions could be being misconstrued and being perceived as shady. And so it's going to be more about being mindful of how you're showing up and being mindful of how you're appearing. And the things that could lead to that kind of misunderstanding are things that we all do, like not telling someone the whole truth to preserve their feelings, feeling responsible for their feelings so you don't tell them maybe a harsh thing that they should hear, or maybe wanting to keep everyone happy so you kind of tell everyone what they want to hear, and those things might be contradictory. So are you doing anything that could be misconstrued in that way? It could be very well be with positive intentions, because we don't want to be hurtful, and because we just want everyone to like us, and we just want everyone to be happy, right? But that can sometimes, if there are inconsistencies in an attempt to achieve that, it can sometimes look a little bit like we're not always on the up and up, and we don't always say what we think, and we can't always be trusted. Hang on a second. Okay, I apologize for the interruption. So this is going to be, anyway, all that stuff I was saying, it's a way of thinking that does have to come to an end, and you're going to have to access this kind of unfamiliar territory, something that's out of your wheelhouse, and find another way to communicate. And it's not going to be a way that's comfortable or a way that you've ever done before, and that's what you're going to have to choose to try to learn to do at this time. Stack 3, you have the 6 of Swords, Six of Pentacles. Get the fuck out of your head. Get in your heart. It misses you. This is going to be good advice for a lot of us at this time who may be over-worrying and overthinking. Excuse me. Try not to touch my face. It's a really hard habit to break, especially when it itches. Okay. This is going to be about the peace and the balance. Six of Swords generally talks about moving on to a more peaceful time from a more turbulent mental situation. And so this is talking about the peace and balance that you could achieve if you invested as much energy into feeling your emotions as you do in contemplating whether or not things are fair. I keep thinking of Sarah in Labyrinth. That's not fair. And how we have sometimes, I have always been this way since I was a child, having a very robust sense of justice and injustice and feeling like everything has to be lined up and has to be balanced and fair all the time and match up to what my idea of what that is. And so this is going to be, it's as though you focused on injustice in a way that has been to distance and detach from feeling your own feelings. To, what's the word, not dissociate, but to project or distract, but create a diversion and to create a receptacle for the frustration and to try to control that and to avoid addressing your triggers and avoid those places where you feel like you're not enough. And so you're not learning. This Page of Pentacles is learning something new and learning something you don't know. Those emotions are there to teach you something. And so if you're up in your head trying to figure things out and not in your heart feeling those things as uncomfortable as they may be, you're missing out on the real information. Your mind can't work the problem because all the information isn't on the table. Your heart has it. And so this does imply a slight bit of victimhood. But the Six of Pentacles talks about a need to give to yourself more. Where have you, some of this imbalance and some of this injustice can be the result of you having been withholding from yourself. Where have you been giving too much of yourself and you gave so much that you ended up compromised? And so with this Page of Swords here, this is something you're supposed to learn from, not stew in. So you get to examine that. Where have you been giving too much? Giving because you feel that that was expected of you, because it's a habit, because you want to be seen as a good person, because of all these things. But you've done so to a point where you have compromised yourself, and now you are without, where you are depleted, where your resources are depleted, or whatever that is. And so and maybe you didn't get the reciprocity you expected and didn't communicate or whatever that is, but it's making you feel like things are unfair and things are BS, and so it's asking you to pay attention to the fact that you chose, and that if you can get back into the power of those choices, then you have the power to unchoose moving forward. So this is talking about learning from it and moving on. Okay, so I will talk to you in a week, Gemini. Thank you. I'm sorry, Cancer, my bad. Talk to you in a week.